Hey guys, thanks so much for watching the video. This is actually part 2 of my Crawlspace DIY waterproofing process or project that I did. In this video, I show how I installed a vapor barrier and foam board insulation and a dehumidifier down in my Crawlspace. I started the project, it's been one whole year. I started the process around Thanksgiving in 2019 is when I went down in the crawl space and started cleaning it out and doing the trenching. I actually finished the entire project, vapor barrier and all, in July of 2020. And now it is Thanksgiving of 2020. And I have to say, for the last, would be 4 months or so since the entire project has been complete, the dehumidifier has been running, it has been awesome. It has made such a difference in the living quarters of the house. The humidity is lower. The smell is virtually gone. We don't have a mold problem or anything down in our crawl space anymore. It's just been a great investment in our house. Overall, I did this thing on a very, very tight budget. As you watch the video, you'll see that I did not use a 20 mil vapor barrier. I used a 10 mil vapor barrier that I got on Amazon. I did a lot of research. 10 mil is 10 mil, I know. But I just couldn't afford a 20 mil vapor barrier. And the 10 mil, I know it's only been a few months, but it has held up extremely well. And I go in and out of my crawl space a lot. So it sees a lot of travel. But it's held up great. It has not ripped. It has not torn. It is working very, very well. Anyway, so the grand total for this whole project that I've done has been right around the $2,500 mark. And I know a lot of you may have gotten quotes from companies. You're like, whoa, that is a lot cheaper than what I got quoted for. Well, that's because I did this all myself. And I went out and I bought a lot of materials here at the local big box stores in town. And then I ordered a lot of stuff on Amazon. I just did a lot of this stuff. I have an extremely tight budget, so I couldn't buy the best of the best, but I think what I did do with what I could afford worked out very, very well. And I have to give a lot of credit to a lot of the guys on YouTube that post their videos on how to do this stuff. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the video. It's rather lengthy, but it's very educational, I guess you would say. And I'm just an average guy. I did this stuff nights and weekends and when I had the time. But overall, it's been 1 year start to finish, and it's been great. It really has. I mean, I'm glad it's over. Don't get me wrong, because it was very hard work. But I have to just say, as a personal testimony, if you are deciding whether or not to do this to your crawl space, I would encourage you to do it. It will make a huge difference in your living quarters. Allergies, that's the other thing I forgot to mention, are very minimal now. I mean, yes, we still have allergies because, we go outside and do stuff, but we don't have any kind of indoor mold type stuff anymore like we had before. Anyway, enjoy the video. Hey everybody. So it's here. The time has come to finally put the vapor barrier down into the crawl space. There it is. It just got here a couple of days ago. It's been a few months since I've completed the French drain process down there, the French drain system. So now it's time to install the vapor barrier. The only thing I'm disappointed about, and I am really kind of disappointed about this because it's totally my fault, is if you look down there, it says it's clear. I was really hoping for a white one, and I thought that's what I had ordered. I got this off of Amazon. This is a 10 mil vapor barrier, and the description said transparent/white, and I totally overlooked it. I saw white, didn't see the transparent part, and ordered it. But rather than going through the hassle of returning it, and I don't live in my crawl space, I am going to just keep it and install it. I did, however, order white vapor barrier tape that I haven't even opened yet. And I'm going to be returning that to Amazon and exchanging it for clear vapor barrier tape. So it'll all be nice when it's done. I was just really hoping for white, but that's okay. I called the company and he said it's not totally clear. it's more of a translucent color, so you won't see straight through it. You'll just see kind of shadowy stuff, which is fine. So anyway, I was just really hoping for white to reflect the light, and it just looks so much cleaner. But like I said, that's okay. I mean, I'm more about the functionality and what it's gonna do than I am the looks. So anyway, so here it is, and we're gonna, basically what I'm gonna do now is go down in the Crawlspace, take a measurement of the length. This is a 20 by 100 roll, so it's 2,000 square feet. Take the overall length measurement of the Crawlspace, stretch this guy out in the backyard, and cut it to fit. Okay, so we just measured the width and the length of the Crawlspace, and it's 24 by 48 from the edge of the footer across to the other side is 24. From down there all the way to down here, 48. So my plan is, what I'm gonna do is when the vapor barrier comes to the wall, I'm actually gonna go up the footer over that lip there and then up the wall probably 6 inches. And then what I'm going to do after that is put foam board insulation on my walls, and then that's also gonna act as my vapor barrier. I'm not going to strap a vapor barrier to the walls and, you know, run it down and attach it to the one that's going to be on the ground. I'm just going to use the foam board insulation. I've seen a couple of people do that. The foam board insulation has a vapor barrier, and I'm going to give that a try. It's a little bit cheaper and also way more efficient as far as insulating goes. So that's our plan. All right, so here we are out in the yard. We've got the vapor barrier box open. And there it is. Not really clear, but not really white either. So we're gonna go ahead and roll out what we need right now and get it cut. All right, so we got the vapor barrier, half of it anyway, down here in the Crawlspace, and we are going to unroll it here in just a second and start stretching it out. Part of the process will be me having to disconnect the sump pump line there so we can get it over the top and cut out around it. That's not going to be a big deal at all. So we've got the vapor barrier somewhat stretched out down here. You can see I've made some relief cuts there to get around the pillars and some there around the HVAC system. And yeah, so here we are. I'm not going to say this is easy because it isn't. But anyway, so there you go. You got the sump pump out down there. Starting to stretch it out. And I'll go a little further, take a little more video. Okay, so this is after about a couple hours of stretching the vapor barrier out, cutting it around the pillars and the furnace HVAC equipment. And it was not easy. I would recommend putting it in here in smaller pieces. This is a 20-foot section, and I should have cut it in half before I laid it in here. It would have made things a lot easier to do, but I didn't do that. And so I guess I chose to do it the harder way. But it's in, and I'm gonna get some of those spikes, those vapor barrier spikes, that you basically just push it down through the vapor barrier into the ground, and it holds it down, because you can see I still got some wrinkles and stuff I need to stretch. Now here we've got the part that's going to go up the wall, just kind of hung over or laid over on the side here. So basically what I'm going to do is it's going to run up the wall, go up the footer here, over the top lip, and then up the wall probably 6 to 8 inches, and then be covered by the foam board insulation. So anyway, this is the transparent / white 10 mil vapor barrier from Amazon. It's 2,000 square feet that come in the box. It was $181, I think. And it seems to be really good stuff, tough stuff. You can see I'm putting it over gravel, been crawling all over it. There's some dimples and stuff in there from the rocks, but nothing is punctured. It's easy to cut, which don't let that scare you, but it is easy to cut and work with. But I think overall it's gonna do the job quite well. So, and then over there on the other side, I'm gonna cut basically a 12-foot piece to go from that wall to the pillar and cover up that excess over there, because you can't see it from the camera shot, but there's a bunch of slices and cuts and stuff over there to get it around those pillars. So I should have just cut it in half, but I didn't, and I've got extra to play with, so I'll probably do better on the next piece that I put in here. So in your vapor barrier install, and you may have seen these guys online, you can get little spikes to help hold your vapor barrier down to the ground as you pull and stretch it and put it into place. The ones that I've seen online are quite expensive, so I just picked these up at Lowe's today. They were 10 bucks for 75 landscape pins, they're called. That's what they look like right there. They're about 4 inches long, and gonna use those to just kind of pin the vapor barrier down along the back wall edge here around the sides, is so I can pull and just kind of stretch this thing, get most of the wrinkles out of it. But I would suggest getting some of these. The ones that I've seen online have a plastic washer around the top, and that would be nice, but for the price, it was gonna be like $25 for 50 of those shipped, because like 13 of it was for shipping. And I mean, the washer is nice because it helps locate where the pins are in your vapor barrier, but it doesn't really help it from tearing or anything like that. So I just saw these over at Lowe's and decided to give them a shot. So we'll see how well they work. Okay, also, because I have the extra material to play with, I did end up cutting off, I'd say roughly 6 or 7 feet on the other side of those pillars, just because it makes it so much easier to work with. I would suggest, if you've got mine's basic, my Crawlspace is a basic rectangle, 24 by 48. If this is your application, I would suggest cutting your vapor barrier in half, or at least, you know, make it so it stretches to the middle, or maybe just beyond the middle. And that is just because it's easier to work with. I mean, it's easier to cut around things. It's easier to pull and stretch and do all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that is the extra piece over there rolled up. That's going to stretch along the other third, basically, because I got about 2/3 of the Crawlspace covered, but that's going to be the other third over there rolled out. But like I said, I cut off roughly, that's probably 6 or 7 feet over there going towards that wall, just because it's just easier to work with when you don't have that much extra material laying in there and all that stuff. So anyway, just something to think about. So here's where we are. So here's the second section. I've got it rolled out, and today we're gonna go ahead and stretch this guy out and put the pins in on the ground and get it all fastened down and taped, hopefully. You can see moisture, so that's good. And I got about sorry, I'm laying down here, got about a foot or so overlap there. I mean, that's probably what you want with your seams. But also, I'm going to be cleaning this up here around these pillars too, so that's part of the project here this morning. So here's the progress. All right, so we have got the second half of the vapor barrier stretched out, and tonight over there is where my front porch is, and I'm going to be taping around those corners and everything. That's tonight's project. And I actually yesterday went and picked up all of the foam board insulation that's going to be going on the walls. It's outside on my trailer. And also, you can see, got everything around the pillars nice and cleaned up, taped up nice and tight. The vapor barrier is not siliconed to those pillars right there, but that tape is super tight around the base of the pillar. It's not airtight. You can see right here, it's not airtight, and I don't know if I'm gonna go to the extent of sealing that off or not, but used a bunch of tape. That's one thing, if you're doing this, that you'll want to make sure you have enough of, is that vapor barrier tape right there. That was a 180-foot roll, and I actually have another one that I haven't opened yet. Yeah, I don't know how much is left, but not that much. I'll probably use what's left of that doing the taping around the front porch. And I may run another bead of tape, half this way, half that way, once I'm all done, because you can kind of see some spots there where it's come up right there, and it's not really sticking that good. So I'll probably put another, section off each side of that. But I'm just gonna say there is zero smell down here right now. It hasn't rained in a couple of weeks, so things are kind of drying out. But when I started this, you still had that damp smell because it's still kind of wet down here. But the smell is gone, guys, and I am not kidding. I mean, it is really gone. So, yeah, and then, like I said, this is only a 10 mil vapor barrier, and it has made a huge difference so far. I haven't put the dehumidifier or anything down here yet. We're still running vents. See, the vents are still open, nothing's insulated. But the smell is virtually gone, and that is awesome. So just figured I'd let you know that. So if you do not have a vapor barrier in your crawl space, it will not solve your water issues, but it will solve a smell, because it is doing it right now. So anyway, all right, well, let's go ahead and work on those steps over there, and I'll take some footage when I'm done. Here is the trailer full of the 1.5" Poly Pro foam board insulation. Now, I'm pretty sure I overbought. I bought 20 sheets of this stuff, but I'm going to be doing the rim joist as well as the walls. Got it at Lowe's. It was right around $15 a sheet. 1.5" foam board. Some of you might be wondering why I didn't go with 2-inch. Well, because 2-inch for one is twice the money. Actually, it's more than twice. It's like $32 a sheet. And I'm on a budget, a tight budget. And the R factor, it's a little bit better, but not that much. I would say if you live in a cold environment, you would probably want to go with the 2-inch foam board. But here in southern Missouri, I mean, it gets cold in the winter, but not like sub-zero for long periods of time or anything like that. So I think for what we're going to be doing here, 1.5" foam board, it will be just fine. It gives you an R value right here. So 1-inch R value is 6.65. A 1/2 inch is 4.73. So if you round those two numbers together, we're almost at an R12. So that's fine with me. R11, R12 in that neighborhood. Let's call it R11.5. That's fine with me. And it's also going to act as a vapor barrier. I did get the tape for this. So we have some clear Tyvek tape that we'll be taping the seams on this. Is it going to be 100% sealed? No, it's not going to be, but it makes me feel better to have it. So anyway, just thought I'd give you a shot here of what 20 sheets of 1.5" foam board looks like on a 4x8 trailer. And it was quite a ride getting this home, because they don't sell it here at the local Lowe's. I had to drive to another city to get it at that Lowe's, and we had to take the back roads all the way home and couldn't really go much over 35 just because air starts getting in here and lifting things up, and I didn't want to mess all over the side of the road because this stuff is very, very light. I mean, you would think 20 sheets might weigh a little bit. Not really. I mean, you can let me just show you this. It's not real heavy. So 20 sheets. So anyway, there you go. Okay, so if you're going to be putting up foam board insulation, you are going to need this kind of a fastener. Then these are made by Plastic Grip. These are concrete fasteners, what I call them. Concrete foam board fasteners made by Plastic Grip. I got 250 of these for like $94. It's more than I wanted to pay, but ultimately this is going to be the best way to get that stuff attached to the wall down there. These are 2 3/4 long, and if you're putting up 1.5", I think it was 1 inch to 1.5" foam board insulation, you need to go with these 2 3/4. They make longer versions, like up to 3.5 if you're going to go with anything thicker than that on your foam board insulation. Also, you will need to get a drill bit. This is a 5/16 masonry drill bit. Just pick that up at Lowe's. Lowe's, you really should be sponsoring me because I'm buying everything through you. So let's see if, yeah, here we go. Right there on the side. Blaster grip, plastic masonry fastener. So I would highly recommend using these. So basically what we'll do is we'll just drill the hole through the foam board into the block, tap those in, and away we go. Goes out. I had one piece that's butted up there, and then the other one, all I had to do is just kind of cut around on the one side. So turned out pretty good. And then got that much there. Those are actually two separate pieces. I'm really not going to have a lot of waste, and that's kind of my goal on this. I don't really care that I'm not using solid 8-foot pieces all the way down, because basically what I'm doing is I've got an 8-foot piece, and this is 28 inches tall from there to there. So it leaves me 20 inches left over, 20 inches by 8 feet. So what I'm doing is I'm just cutting 28-foot sections off that 8-foot length piece, and then there you see one there, and then that's another 8-foot, and then a 20 inch. Those are two 20-inch sections there. And really, I don't know if you can see in the bucket, that's a little piece. That's really basically what I've got left over after a full sheet, and it's not that much. And actually, some of the scrap I'm going to use up there in the rim joist. My rim joist is not insulated, so that's where I'm going to be using those extra pieces, is up there in the rim joist. So hopefully not a lot of scrap. So anyway, I bought 20 pieces, which I'm sure, like I said before, I overbought, but that's okay. I can always take it back. So there we are. All right, so here's kind of a progress update. I am at the furthest point in the crawl space. Sorry, there's all my junk. So I'm kind of working my way towards the front porch steps there. But we got it wrapped around all the way there, all the way over there. Sorry about the pillar. All the way over there. Another pillar, HVAC, and then I need to show you where I'm at. There's the door going out down there. So I've been doing this for just a couple of days, a few hours at a time. Not that long, just as time allows, but that's where we're at so far. And I think when I'm all done, I'll get a little broom down here and try to sweep up all these little styrofoam balls and everything else. Clean it up a little bit. But anyway, so there's our progress. As I was panning the camera just a second ago, taking that progress report, I skimmed by that right there. And you may be wondering what that is and why there's no insulation on it. So basically that's the block that extends out past the wall, holding up the center beam of the house. And you can see the taped seam kind of running up just a little bit on that block. I'm actually, scoot over there a little bit. I don't really know the correct way of doing this, so I think all I'm gonna do is just take some silicone or something and just silicone this up to the wall just so it's right there. But I didn't think it was necessary to put the foam board on that. You can see it protrudes out. That's probably 1.5 inches right there. I didn't think it was necessary, but man, I just gotta tell you, since we're here and we're talking and you're a captive audience, this vapor barrier has made a huge difference. I don't know if I mentioned it yet in any of the other videos, but this vapor barrier upstairs in the main living area, it has dropped our humidity by an incredible amount. I noticed this morning, the humidity in the house has not gotten over 58, 59% in our house since this vapor barrier's been down, and I don't even have the dehumidifier down here yet. Now granted, it is kind of dry outside, it hasn't rained in a while, but this morning when I got up, it was like 85, 86% humidity outside, and it was still only 54% in the house, which is amazing. This vapor barrier, I'm telling you guys right now, it's only a 10 mil. This is only a 10 mil vapor barrier, but it has made a huge difference in this house. Now remember, a vapor barrier is not going to stop your water problems. All right, you see that French drain under there? I know this, I'm being redundant right now, but you have got to solve your water issues before you put a vapor barrier down, or it's going to either lift it up and float it, or it's going to get on top of it and not go anywhere. You'll have a swimming pool in your crawl space. You've got to control your water. So that's what we did. It's working well. I have another video that you can watch if you would like to see how that's done. I was dumb though and didn't hold the camera horizontally like I am now, so it's a little annoying to watch, but the process is in there. It's long and grueling, but I'm telling you the payoff is well worth it if you can do it yourself, or even hiring it done. I have some friends right now that are looking at having their crawl space done, or are going to be having it done by a professional company. They're paying a lot more than I spent on mine, which is understandable, but it's going to make all the difference in the world in their house. And it has made all the difference in the world in this house. So yes, I would highly recommend doing this to your crawl space if you don't have this done right now. So, especially if you're having water issues. But anyway, vapor barrier, vapor barrier, vapor barrier. I can't stress it enough. I know there's a lot of people that say, well, it doesn't make a bit of a difference. Man, I'm telling you it does. It has made a huge difference in the house. But I think the only time it's really gonna make a difference though, is if you can control the water. You've got to control the water. So anyway, there's my little rant. Okay guys, so we are just about wrapped up with the crawl space project. Like totally wrapped up. I've got all the wall board up, the wall insulation up, and then also the rim joist insulated as well. There you can see the vapor barrier is working well. You see all the water vapor behind it. That's from the outside. We've had quite a bit of rainfall here the last few days, and that's what you get if you don't want to seal your foundation and dig around the outside of your house. So while I'm right here, as you can see up there, we have also sealed off the crawl space vents with the 1.5" foam board. Rim joists there, more insulation, and it's all the way around. So also we had just turned on, brought down here the dehumidifiers. Excuse me while I crawl over to it. And when we first plugged it in, and I say we because my son helped me, when we first plugged it in, it was 76% humidity down here, and you can see right now it's been running for about an hour. It's down to 62. So the way I did this is I just plumbed this guy underneath down there over to my condensation pump, and then from the condensation pump it runs sorry for all the choppy video, up and over and all the way down there and over and into the sump pump. So that's where that goes. So yeah, so we're about wrapped up. I'm just kind of putting some finishing touches on everything down here. A couple spots that still needed to be taped. I insulated the outside of the door. As you can see it, there's still some mold on it. I'm debating on whether or not to spray treat that, see what happens, and then possibly insulate the inside of the door too. It's just a piece of plywood. I'm not really ready to spend the $200 to $300 or whatever it costs for a crawl space door, custom made door. But anyway, so grand total down here for this whole entire project, including the French drain, the vapor barrier, the sump pump, all the insulation, the dehumidifier, which is working awesome. Grand total was right around the $2,500 mark for everything. That's me doing it myself. It is July 10th, 2020. I started this project right around, I think, a week before Thanksgiving 2019, and about 9 months or so, and finally getting her done. So it took a long time, but it is well worth it. It's very, very, very comfortable down here. No stink, no bugs, no anything like that I need to be worried about. It's just really, really good. As you can see, I still got some wiring stuff I got to clean up, but that's no big deal. The only other addition that I'm going to be doing down here, and by the way, there is my vent fan. That is a Panasonic Whisper fan. It's set to come on 3 times a day for roughly 10 minutes at a time, just to kind of cycle out any kind of stale air that's down here. I just got that plumbed right outside back there. The only other addition that I'm going to be adding is a sump pump alarm down there, just in case that guy decides to go out on me. There's a little float switch that comes with the alarm. Put the alarm in your garage or something. If it starts going crazy, you know your sump pump is failed and you need to go and get one immediately, a different pump. So hopefully that doesn't happen for a long time. Anyway, here we go. It's all done, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and best of luck to you if you attempt to do this yourself.